Key point 1. Mind reading is real. Imagine communicating effortlessly with anyone, deciphering their thoughts and feelings before they even say a word. Some seem gifted in this realm, but it's not a mystical talent. It's a skill we all can train, improve, and boost. This ability does not have a universally agreed upon name. Some may consider it a sign of developed emotional intelligence. In contrast, others see it as a diagnostic method psychologists or detectives use. The good news is that mastering deep analysis of people's motives doesn't require an academic degree or CIA experience. All you need is an interest and a desire to learn about those around you. Understanding others leads to discovering ourselves. Seeing others' true motives and aspirations is a valuable and practical tool. Using it can help you develop compassion and acceptance for others, resolve conflict situations with spouses or colleagues, negotiate with coworkers and business partners, be better parents and partners for your loved ones, find common ground even with those who have totally different values. Protect yourself from deception and avoid people who may harm you. Uncovering the true nature of others is complex because each individual is a separate universe with distinct rules and visions. While understanding the full scope of someone's inner world might be challenging, we can learn to detect enough clues to build on. When we know how to quickly and accurately analyze someone's character, behavior, and unspoken intentions, we can communicate more effectively and, to put it bluntly, get what we want. Patrick King. So, let's begin our journey into the depths of human nature and master the fine art of deciphering others. Key point 2. It's all about context and attentiveness. While everyone can learn to read unspoken cues, the journey to mastery often comes with pitfalls. The most destructive is believing we know everything about those around us. This belief is a perpetual bias. We remember when we're right and ignore when we're wrong. For example, we look at a neighbor and think, "They're such a rude person." But do we have enough facts for such conclusions? Yes, they might have been impolite by not saying hello to us on Thursday morning, but does that mean we can classify them as a rude individual? To master understanding others, we must realize that our judgments aren't always accurate. Therefore, the first rule is to let go of all prejudices and remain open to careful observation. Context is another essential thing to consider when analyzing behavior. You may have heard that some physical manifestations, like sweaty palms or frequent touching of the tip of the nose, are signs of lying. But be careful with your conclusions. It can also mean that person is hot or has a runny nose. We can't judge someone based on one action, facial expression, or emotion. But we can detect persistent and recurring tendencies in someone's behavior through close inspection. Seek to comprehend, not to judge. Cultural context is equally crucial. People from different countries interpret reactions and emotions in diverse ways. For example, if a Japanese person looks away quickly, it doesn't mean they're nervous or hiding something. Making eye contact for a long time is considered impolite in their country. The key to understanding the intentions and reactions of others is defining the starting point. When observing someone, think about how this person usually behaves. After all, a colleague's overactive and even nervous behavior may signal a change only if they are typically calm and relaxed. However, there's no reason to worry if mild excitability and emotionality are the norm. The habit of generalizing and our confidence in being right can undermine our efforts to comprehend others. So remain open-minded and always be ready to question and recheck the conclusion. Key point 3. Identifying true motives. Learning people's motives and aspirations is vital to understanding their behavior. As we delve into the whys and hows of our actions, let's look at some fundamental psychological theories. Any human action, conscious or not, has a reason. If we discover it, we gain an invaluable source of information. Several models can explain what drives us. Shadow and the sphere of the unconscious. This theory originates from the famous psychologist Carl Jung, the founder of analytical psychology. In short, the shadow represents what we reject and ignore about ourselves. However, it does not mean that these aspects of our personality disappear. They still manifest in our emotions and behavior. When observing a colleague's narcissistic behavior, contemplate what they might reject about themselves. Their shadow can be hiding intense insecurity and fear of failure. Knowing someone's hidden side will make empathizing with and understanding them easier. The pleasure and pain principle. Whatever we do, we always seek to gain satisfaction and avoid pain. It's a fundamental principle of life, formed through evolution. It's all about enjoyment, whether we're buying a cake, running for coffee, or asking for a pay raise at work. Similarly, when putting on a mitten to take a cake out of the oven, we strive to dodge discomfort. So how can we use this knowledge to understand others better? Think about this. If your partner skips out on doing the dishes after dinner, consider what might be on their mind. Maybe they're not trying to upset you, but they're drained from a tough day and need to unwind. Giving them this benefit of the doubt might prevent a disagreement. Abraham Maslow's Pyramid of Needs. The idea is that there is a specific hierarchy of human needs. At the base of the pyramid, we find essentials like food, water, and shelter. Next is safety, so the first two levels guarantee our survival. As we climb, we seek love, belonging, self-esteem, and self-acceptance. And finally, at the pyramid's peak lies the quest for a higher meaning of existence. How does this concept help us read people? The thing is, it's easier to communicate with others if we understand their needs. For example, if you work in rehabilitation, you know someone struggling with addiction strives to meet their basic needs first. And only over time do they feel the urge for self-realization and find their life purpose. Key point 4. Silent expressions speak louder than words. Did you know that most human communication happens without words? We convey tons of information through gestures, postures, and facial expressions. It's an impressive skill. Correctly interpreting these signals can reveal a lot about others. There are several blocks to nonverbal communication. Facial expressions. Intuitively, we all know that macro expressions are physiological reactions that tell us what others feel, typically lasting about 4 seconds. In contrast, micro expressions are harder to spot. Researchers Haggard and Isaacs discovered this while watching psychotherapy sessions in slow motion. Later, Paul Ekman, a renowned lie expert, found that micro expressions, much shorter than macro, will appear even when people try to hide their emotions. Just like macro expressions, micros correspond to 6 basic human emotions: sadness, happiness, fear, anger, surprise, and disgust. Of course, learning to recognize micro-expressions requires time and practice, but there's an easier way to read people. You could focus on the inconsistencies between the person's words and facial expressions. Such contradictions sometimes indicate dishonesty, but also keep the context in mind. If you're unsure of someone's nonverbal cues, ask them. Body language. Movements and posture can also reveal a lot about others. Former FBI agent Joe Navarro has devoted years to studying this part of communication. He noticed that people often show discomfort, stress, and other intense experiences without words. For instance, when excited, we may rub our foreheads and necks, clasp our hands, or hug ourselves. Massaging our temples, loosening our collar, or moving our hair away from the back of the head can signal fatigue, stress, and tension. Pay attention to the hands, too. Rubbing and squeezing them can show a loss of control, whereas hands spread widely can signal power. Legs also carry a lot of information. When happy and excited, we may jiggle and bounce them, but unconsciously place our legs toward the exit when uncomfortable. But don't jump to conclusions just because you see unusual behavior. Look for additional signs of stress or other emotional states and evaluate people's reactions thoroughly. Did you know? Behavior analysis is the scientific study of behavior. It explores the reasons behind people's behavior and seeks to modify and prevent certain actions. Key point 5. Personality tests and typologies. What they can tell. Another way to know others better is by using personality typologies. These models include specific behaviors that repeat with a particular frequency and comprise a personality trait. Let's look at some of the most popular typologies. The Big Five. According to this theory, we can classify personalities by 5 traits. Openness to experience. It determines people's willingness to take risks and discover new things. At one end of the spectrum are people with a high level of openness who are always looking for new opportunities. On the other, more practical personalities who are not prone to sudden changes. Conscientiousness. It divides people into 2 categories, those highly focused on their goals and those more impulsive and unorganized. Extroversion. This spectrum ranges from people who thrive on communication and the spotlight to those who focus more on their inner world and choose solitude. Agreeableness. It shows how warm and attentive people are to others. Neuroticism. This aspect refers to emotional stability ranging from calm to more excitable people. MBTI. Psychologists Myers and Briggs designed this tool to help people find jobs that match their abilities. This test also works on the duality principle and assumes that one of the 2 extreme qualities manifests more. Extraversion or introversion, sensing or intuition, thinking or feeling, judgment or perception. 16 combinations of these qualities allow us to determine a person's personality type. Remember that this test gives 2 categorical recommendations and doesn't consider that most of us are in the middle of 2 traits. Although personality typologies can help us better study people, we cannot mindlessly rely on them. After a while, the test may show a different result, showing the impact of the experience on the personality. Keirsey's temperaments. This typology combines 16 types of MBTI and narrows them down to 4 personality types. The Guardian. Self-confident people who know how to plan their time efficiently and strive to benefit humanity. The Artisan. Highly capable people who are tactical planners. The Idealist. Compassionate individuals with a high level of emotional intelligence, always looking for meaning in everything. The Rational. True masters of their craft with high self-control. Recognizing a person's uniqueness is the first step to reading them. Remember that understanding someone's behavior lies in the complex use of different tools. Key point 6. Becoming Sherlock, exposing the lies. The drive to understand others isn't always solely fueled by curiosity. Sometimes we're motivated by a natural desire to protect ourselves from manipulation and lies. Indeed, no universal tool would guarantee the detection of deception. Still, some techniques allow you to question the words of others and see their unusual behavior. 3 conditions contribute to the most accurate detection of lies. You have established how a person usually behaves. That is, you know the starting point. You and another person communicate spontaneously, so they have no time to prepare themselves. Lying has real consequences. It makes dishonest people nervous. Everyone's physical reactions differ, so there's no clear sign of a lie. There are several methods for detecting deception. Conversation. This method allows you to actively interact with the other person and even control the flow of the dialogue. You can ask questions, pause at the right moments, and encourage others to give you the necessary information. It's an excellent opportunity to listen carefully to the other person and observe their reactions and body language. Look at how they present the information. Often, when people lie, their story sounds rehearsed. Try to ask clarifying questions and observe their reaction. If a person ponders an answer for too long, it may indicate that they are trying not to expose themselves. Being a detective who listens more than talks will help you catch a lie by noticing inconsistencies in words and emotions. Risen cognitive load. Lying is exhausting because keeping track of all that information takes a lot of effort. Your job is to find gaps in their narrative. Ask off-topic questions to distract someone from their story or inquire how they feel. Also, watch their reactions during the conversation. You can notice if the person's facial expression is insincere. People who lie often behave quite aloof and try to hide any emotions. So, it would help if you patiently questioned the other person's tale to distract them from the main lie and watch their reaction. Of course, you should combine all these methods to get a more reliable result. But still, don't rush to label the other person as a liar. Sometimes a person does not want to share information or is going through a difficult period. Don't let others fool you. Stay compassionate. Key point 7. The purpose of observation, seeing beyond words. We already know that to get to know someone better, we must observe. But how should we do it? How do we capture what we need? Some approaches that can help with this are method of thin slicing. It's the ability to see patterns based on limited information. In other words, it's a method of intuitive perception. The key idea behind snap judgments is that they're often unconscious, which is why they appear so quickly. But is it possible to rely on intuitive conclusions to understand others better? It turns out, combining intuitive and logical reasoning gives the best results. You probably felt something was wrong with the person beside you, although you could not find an objective explanation. Please do not ignore it, and try to look for more justified confirmation of this feeling. Most likely, this feeling is reasonable. Words that people choose. Sometimes it's not important what people say, but how they say it. When analyzing others, pay attention to their text messages and emails. For example, if a person often uses I or mine, it signals high extroversion. Additionally, using complex terms unnecessarily indicates a desire to seem more intelligent. Too emotional and even dramatic constructions can show a high level of neuroticism, but as always, remember the context. Private things. Whether it's a car, a home, or clothes, everything we choose reflects our aspirations, hopes, and dreams. Sometimes you can understand someone better simply by visiting their home. Take note of how they organize their space. Excessive neatness and emptiness can indicate neuroticism, while photos of the owners in gold frames convey luxury and money as their central values. Also, pay attention to where there's an excess of stuff. It can be piles of books, clothes, or crafting tools, which also speak of the interests and hobbies of the owner. The first impression usually informs if someone has good or bad intentions. Indeed, observing others and interpreting their behavior doesn't necessarily require innate talent, but dedication, effort, and time. Whether we like it or not, clothing tells us a lot about a person, since none of us dresses neutrally. Our clothing is a way to make an identity claim about who we are and how we want others to see us. Patrick King. Conclusion. Understanding others requires a combination of methods, techniques, and tools. But the secret is that they don't work separately from each other, and we need to use them in combination. Remember that you cannot trust single gestures or reactions. You must always see the whole picture. Nervous behavior does not always indicate lying, and a smile does not mean joy sometimes. Your attention, empathy, and genuine interest will help you see more broadly and not jump to conclusions. To practice reading others, keep a few principles in mind. Explore what a person's usual behavior looks like. Look for discrepancies and unusual reactions. Collect as much information as possible. Pay attention to the energy that a person shares. Remember that body language is dynamic, so don't stick to a single gesture. Always consider the context when interpreting someone's behavior. When analyzing others, finding a balance between gut feelings and rational judgment is crucial. You should always trust your suspicions, but also test them and find evidence. Try this. 1. Observe people in different situations, for example, in the subway or a store. Pay attention to their gestures, emotions, and facial expressions. 2. Practice mindful conversations with your loved ones. Ask them clarifying questions and watch how their behavior changes. 3. Analyze the motives of others. For example, if your partner quarrels with you, consider what needs they're trying to satisfy or what they want to avoid. 4. Develop empathy for others. Learn to listen and hear them, and see what emotions they hide behind their words.